Alright, welcome back everybody to the finale of my Walking Dead collection. Hope you guys have enjoyed everything so far, and be sure to stay tuned to the end of this video for the grand total of everything we've covered. So, let's get into this last episode. Starting off, we have my last deluxe figure, and probably my favorite one. We have Daryl Dixon with his Angel biker jacket. Comes with his poncho, a really detailed crossbow, 3 bolts, and a knife. Probably the coolest deluxe figure they ever released, and also the first one, so there's Norman Reedus in all his glory. Next up, we have this Walking Dead comic watch. It was released at Comic-Con, numbered out of a certain limited amount, and it also was signed by creator Robert Kirkman, so very cool watch with some nice Charlie Adlard art. Next up, we have these Walking Dead magnets. This was a bonus item included in one of the calendars I bought. It's got the Walking Dead Season 2 poster, one of the shirt logos I showed you before, another Season 2 poster, and then this looks like a Season 1 poster. So, very cool magnets. Next up, we're going to get into all my comics, the single comics I've collected. So first off, we have Walking Dead #1. Crazy I have it right, just kidding. It's the 10th anniversary edition of it. Still pretty cool. The iconic #1 cover made a little more reddish in tone to signify the 10th anniversary. Next up, we have Walking Dead #48, the original release. This was the issue that the governor attacked the prison and we lost a lot of characters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 to be exact. So the number of graves on the cover signifies all the main characters who died in it. Next up, we have this issue 75 Ultimate Comics exclusive. A lot of the exclusive variants of the Walking Dead comic have like white space, so you can get like another comic artist to draw something for you. This one also had some cool zombies on a border. Next up, we have the Walking Dead issue 80. This is the Arizona Comic Convention exclusive cover, which features a scene from the TV show Glenn and Rick. This is from the No Way Out series, which was basically the first part of season 6 of the show. Next up, we have all my issue 100s. This first one is the actual cover. It was a splash, folded out, full cover done by Charlie Adlard. Shows Rick standing on some of the characters who have died throughout the series. And this is the chrome version, so you can kind of see how shiny it is. This is the normal version of that same cover, not chrome, but still very cool. Very good artwork. There were also a lot of different other comic artists who did covers for issue 100, so here's this one. I'm not exactly sure what artists did these, because I'm not super familiar with comic artists, but they're all very nice artwork, and you can see Rick Grimes in this one. Next up we have this one, which has Rick, Michonne, and Coral surrounded by walkers. Next up, we have this one, which is one of my favorites. It has Rick and Michonne with their backs turned to the page with a bunch of walkers in the distance. This is the freakiest one, and the one that, I don't know, really has to do with issue number 100, but you can see it's Mr. Frank here did this creepy grandma walker. Next up, we have this Rick Grimes walker one with a gravestone for Lori and Rick, question mark. Maybe a little bit of foreshadowing on this cover. Next up, we have one that's just Michonne slicing the head off this walker. Very cool. Also slicing the head off that walker. Actually, this is the original cover of what 100 was supposed to be. This is the Something to Fear Part 4. We have Negan. We didn't know who he was going to be yet, so his face is blacked out, holding Lucille. And the last number 100 I have was the Mega Box exclusive that came with the first Negan-themed Mega Box. We have Lucille spelling out 100. Next up, we have issue 110, which is where Michonne and Ezekiel had a little fight. Not sure if this is where they met. It might actually be where Ezekiel and Michonne met for the first time. But it was signed by Charlie Adlard and Robert Kirkman. Got a certificate of authenticity right there. And then we have issue 112. This is the Image Expo exclusive in black and white. We have artwork of Jesus, Rick, and Michonne. Next up, we have issue 150, the original cover, I believe. Rick Grimes standing in a pool of blood with a big 150 in the background. There's also a couple of variants coming up with this. The first variant cover was done by R. Otley, and it shows Rick shooting the walker in the face. Very cool artwork. Next up, we have another Michonne-themed cover. It seems like these guest artists love to do Michonne, and it shows him cutting off the head of another walker. See the artist's autograph right there. Next up, we have my favorite 150 variant, which was Tony Moore coming back to do the original cover, but this time the more current version of Rick Grimes with the beard and the missing hands. See some of the people we lost along the way in the glass shards. Next up, we have this just blank white variant of the 150 issue, which, like I said, a lot of the variants are just blank covers for artists to do their own artwork on. Next up, we have the 25-cent issue, which was in honor of the 25 years of Image Comics. You see Rick Grimes' hand among the walkers. This is for issue 163. And then the other variant of 163, or one of them, had Rick dressed like Negan, and I thought this is a great variant. Very cool artwork. He's holding Lucille, got the leather jacket on. And then finally, this isn't Walking Dead, but also by Robert Kirkman, we have the first issue of Outcast, which is the 4th printing. I'm not exactly sure what it's worth, if it's the 4th printing. But we also have Outcast number 2, the 2nd printing. And then we also have this number 1 Image first edition of the first issue of Outcast. So let's see how much these are worth. I'll add them to the total, why not? They're cool. Next up, we have all my issues of The Walking Dead magazine. If you didn't know, The Walking Dead had a magazine that ran for, I think, 22 issues. It was very detailed, had a lot of cool interviews and articles and stuff. So this is number 2. This was number 3. This was number 4. This was number 5. This was number 6. Number 7. Number 8. Number 9, I have an exclusive San Diego Comic-Con version, so this one actually might be worth more than the other ones. Very cool. Issue 14. Issue 15. Issue 16. Issue 17. Daryl and the Rocket Launcher. Next up, we have this Walking Dead collectible, along with, in the back behind it is a Walking Dead Comic-Con exclusive excerpt from the Governor novels that Robert Kirkman released. The collectible guide wasn't very good, but it's still a cool little collectible to have. They had a guide for the Walking Dead at Comic-Con. Next up, we have my remaining calendars. This first one was, I believe, the first Walking Dead calendar they released. You can see the artwork on some of the months. There's Walkers, there's Daryl. Daryl, my favorite month because the month I was born in. Next up, we have this Days of Survival calendar, season 3 based. Let's see, we got Merle, Michonne, some cool artwork on the back. Daryl with the lighter was on July, I believe. And we had this calendar, 2015, season 4. Rick, Daryl, Tyrese, and Michonne on the cover. And these were the cool artworks for the months. Next up, we have my only graded comic. It is the number 100 exclusive I showed you earlier, the one of Rick and Michonne face back. Probably one of the cooler variants of number 100. If you've never seen a graded comic before, at the top they talk about like the most important events in the issue, like first appearance of Negan, death of Glenn in issue 100, so pretty cool. Next up, we have my only coral figure. This is the colored tops version. Pretty cool. It comes with the poncho they used to walk through Alexandria. It comes with Rick's hat, a version of him with a bandage, version of him with a shot out eye. Coral. Next up, we have this Jesus Skybound comic figure. It comes with a lot of accessories. Comes with an extra head where he's not wearing his bandana, a rifle, some binoculars, wearing his cool ninja outfit. Next up, we have the pincushion zombie, which I don't believe was an actual zombie in the comic. They just thought it'd be a cool idea for a figure, and it is. So basically, it has a bunch of holes that you can stick in all these weapons into him, and then he's meant to look like this spiky boy. Next up, we have Rick Grimes comic version. This is like in between volumes 10 and 15, Rick, I believe is supposed to be. So you can see him with his hand cut off, his iconic axe, the python. Next up, we have a more recent comic Rick version. This one is in black and white. Also got the python iconic axe, but this one he's got his new little hand attachment and his walking stick. There's Rick with his big beard. Next up is this Toys R Us exclusive Mini-Mates. This is rare in itself just because Toys R Us doesn't exist anymore. But then we have Abraham and this military zombie with his guts hanging out. Comes with a rifle, a knife, and a pistol. Very cool. Hey, ramming his handlebar. Next up, we have this Walking Dead Dorbs, because it's so adorable. Look at Daryl. This is the limited chase edition, blood spattered. Cute little Daryl. There's also a Rick Michonne and a RV Walker version of these. I believe there's also a Negan that I wanted to get. Next up, we got Morgan with his bow staff in Funko Pop form. This is him in season 5 after he decided to go find Rick Grimes in the group again before he went to Fear the Walking Dead and ruined the show. Next up, we have the Charred Walker Mystery Mini as opposed to the orange glowy version. This was the Hot Topic exclusive where it was 1 out of 144, but I don't believe there's any difference between the 1 out of 12 version. Actually, he's missing an ear. Maybe the missing ear is what sets him apart from the other one. I'm going to see if I can find this Hot Topic version versus the other version, but if not, here's a Charred Walker. Next up, we have another one of my favorite Funko Pops. This is Headless Herschel, which was a Comic-Con exclusive for 2014. Very gruesome Funko Pop. Honestly, probably one of the most gruesome Funko Pops they have. Look at poor Headless Herschel, but it's also one of the coolest. So, next up, we have Tyrese Hot Topic exclusive version. This is when he got bit by the walker. He's got that geode in his hand. Kind of matches the McFarlane toy version of Tyrese when he was bitten that we saw earlier. This is the Funko Pop. Next up, we have Daryl Dixon Funko Pop. This was the first Daryl they released, and this is the Harrison's exclusive blood-splattered version of him. Got his Season 1 shirt and crossbow. Daryl. Next up, we have the greatest Funko Pop of all time, T-Dog, which was a 2017 Comic-Con exclusive. He's got the bolt cutters and pistols. T-Dog in all his glory, looking great. Next up, we have this Daryl Dixon vinyl idol. It's kind of a derpy little figure, but also cool and detailed. And we also have this New York Comic-Con exclusive, limited to 500 pieces, the blood-splattered version. So we have this vinyl idol and this vinyl idol, both derpy as hell. Next up, we have this Here's Negan graphic novel talking about the introduction of Negan and his backstory. You can see he played ping pong in the past. Ran into a bunch of survivors and stuff. Swore a lot. So here's Negan. Here we have a Walking Dead comic exclusive binder featuring some cool artwork of, I believe, Glenn in the riot gear outfit. Got a nice blue color. The back says The Walking Dead. Next up, we have the only Walking Dead novel I have, The Fall of the Governor Part 2. I haven't read it because I believe there was 3 books before this one, but I heard it's actually not bad. Robert Kirkman wrote it along with Jay Bonacciana. I don't think I said that right. Next up, we have a German version of the Walking Dead graphic novel. This is March to War, but Auf der Christenstadt, or whatever, in German. Pretty cool. Next up, we have these Walking Dead Hot Wheel type things, which are cars from the show that they made into little collectible car form. See the car that Glenn drove in the second episode, Rick's police cruiser, nice glare, and the Jeep that I believe Shane was driving. Next up, we have this big buildable, Dale's RV, 468 pieces. Got Dale, the RV, a walker sneaking up on him. Next up, we have Morgan in a boxed edition of the McFarlane toys. He comes with a walker trapped in one of those spike traps he had in Season 3, episode Clear. Even though this is Season 5 Morgan with his bow staff. Still a cool boxed edition that they made. Next up, we have all these different Walking Dead Entertainment Weeklies they released. I think I have like every Walking Dead Entertainment Weekly they ever had. I'm not exactly sure what these are worth, but they're pretty cool. This was actually a collector's edition that was only Walking Dead themed, so maybe this one actually is worth something. We had TV Guide along with Entertainment Weekly. These 1, 2, 3 exclusive Walking Dead TV Guides, and the rest are Entertainment Weeklies. Batman Returns. Glenn and Maggie. Daryl on his chopper. And this is actually my favorite, Daryl and Merle. Next up, we have the Walking Dead Chronicles, which is kind of like a behind-the-scenes book of the first season. Talks about adapting the comic to the TV show, some cool interviews and stories and storyboards and whatnot, some exclusive content. And then last but not least, we have this Daryl cardboard cutout. Very cool, very majestic. Thank you, Daryl. Alright, I hope you guys have enjoyed going through my Walking Dead collection. And now, drumroll, here is the final grand total. Wow, I don't know what that number is, but I bet it's pretty amazing. Alright, see you guys in the next couple of videos. I believe the next video I'll be doing is a reaction video to some new foreign music, so get ready for that. See you guys in that. Can't say that, girl, don't tell me you could say that shit. All she want is payback for the way I always play that shit.